Welcome everyone to this channel. I am your host, Renabro. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully, you stay a while. And I wanted to give you the purpose of this channel that you just stumbled upon. You're going to get my perspective of a 40 plus year old Black American middle class woman. I've hit a few different points in there already. I'm also a mother. I'm also a public educator. And I happen to live in Southern California. So, throughout these different videos, you're going to get to know a little bit more about me, a little bit more of my personality and my take on things. And I'd also like to engage in the comments, how you view, how you react to certain situations and things that's coming up in the world. Um, so, the first topic, which you saw in the intro today, is my therapist made me do it. And this whole channel is starting because my therapist encouraged me to do so. On numerous times, she's like, what hobbies you need to do, how can you generate, more income. And I like that as a therapist because they're challenging you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And it's not like I'm shy because I am a public educator, so I'm in front of people, talking to people all the time. So I'm not really shy. So this is a different type of audience. It's the World Wide Web. It's everyone. And I know I'm going to be judged and criticized because I tell my students the exact same thing. We're going to judge you. So just do your best. That's why we're here in this environment, to learn and be better. But just get it done. And so that's what I'm doing today. Because my therapist thought it would be good for me to try something different, to possibly generate income. But that's not the reason why I'm here. I don't need another job. But I want to do something that is fun and something that could be beneficial to somebody as well as myself. It's a different type of therapy. So let's talk about therapy. As a Black American living in Southern California, therapy is not something that people talk about. And I was thinking about this earlier. When did I hear about going to therapy or therapy could help you? Um, I can't recall. Maybe you've heard, since I'm a public educator, I've heard of students going to therapy, but I've very rarely heard of adults going to therapy. No one in my family, in my immediate family, has gone to therapy or even talked about it. And as I think about that, I think about the times where in my childhood and growing up, when I needed, potentially needed therapy. Like if I knew then what I know now, what points in my life could I have sought out therapy? And one of the couple of things came up. Two things come up when I think about my childhood. Number one, um, not having my father around and being able to talk to someone about that growing up. So that would be one thing that I probably would have probably sought out, a counselor or therapy to talk about those things. The second one is the death of an immediate family member. My grandma passed away when I was 22, about to be 23. Um, And so that was the first time me experiencing someone passing away in my immediate family. And so no one really, I don't recall anyone saying, you should go to therapy, you should go talk to someone. What I did instead is I went to church. I went to church. I joined a family member's congregation. I got baptized. I started going to church regularly. So I'm like 22, 23 at the time. And that helped out a little bit. It helped um, assuage, what I was feeling, and it kind of made sense. So I think I went for about maybe a month or two, and then after that, I just stopped going. So essentially, it didn't work for me. It worked for the little bit of time that I needed, But then I didn't keep up with it because there was some other stuff going on, at church where I'm like, maybe this is not for me. Um, and then I just never really heard people talk about it. I'm going to therapy or I'm going to seek therapy. I think the only people you heard talk about it probably celebrities. You watch enough TV, celebrities going to rehab, celebrities going to therapy, and things of that nature. And so when you think about therapy, the only other time where I really thought that I needed it, where it became important, was a breakup, the breakup of me and my children's father. And the reason why that was is because I was feeling way different than I usually have felt before, and I knew that I couldn't deal with it on my own anymore. I was more angry, I was more irritable. I just wasn't myself, and I just told myself, I'm like, I'm gonna go look into, I'm gonna go look into this. And through my employer, most major companies have like a what do you call it, a EAP, some type of counseling service that they can, and you get like the first few sessions for free or very low cost. Um, and so that's what I did. And I think that opened the door for me to really get back to my old self because I wasn't feeling like my regular chill, relaxed. I was uptight, I was anxious. I just wasn't having good days. And actually, it was right around COVID time too. So this is like the end of 2020 going into 2021. So everybody's already feeling on edge already. And then on top of this, I have a breakup. Also had another death in the family at that time. So those emotions compounding, I was spiraling. I was spiraling. And my kids were young. And so it was just so much on my shoulders that I just couldn't really hold it all together. But this idea of therapy being taboo, especially in the Black community, like I said, I don't recall anybody talking about therapy in my family, and I probably only know about it is probably through my work, and then you can hear conversations of other people, your coworkers and things of that. People talk about it, and then actually my students who are in some type of therapy. But usually, I hear those from non-Black families, so that's something to think about too. But in the Black community, like I said, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about therapy. It's not something that we're engaged in a whole lot. Some people take their therapy in the form of alcohol or other means, whether it be smoking, cigarettes, and other types of illicit substances and things like that. But we don't normally go, we as in the Black community, we don't usually go and sit and talk to someone about our problems because it is deemed like a some form of weakness, um, to let people in. And I mean, I can totally understand that because as Black Americans, we're strong. People tell us how strong you are, how much stuff that you can handle, and you're still going. But there's times where we are weak and we are vulnerable, and we do need help. And very rarely do we seek out help. Um, so if you are a person in your family, in your community, in your environment, and no one's talking about therapy, you know yourself, as I tell myself and my students, you know yourself the best. You know when you're not feeling up to par. You know if something's not quite right. Go seek out a counselor, a therapist, if you can. Try to get some free resources. There's probably tons around nowadays since COVID. If you're a student, you got your counselor on your campus. You probably have several people you can talk to. And if you're an adult, you need to look through your human resources through your job, so that you can talk to someone. You do kind of have to seek out that information, though. It's just not going to come um, magically to you. You do have to go and look out for it, and ask a few questions or something like that. But I felt that it has been very beneficial to me. I've had two different therapists in the span of, so that first therapist was like 2021, and then I had a another therapist late last year, so in 2024. So they're about 3 years apart, and both were due to breakups, um, which I'll probably get into some other time. But um, the idea that therapy is bad and taboo, I think as Black Americans or just Black people in general, I think we need to get over that. And I think that my last part of why I needed to see a therapist, and I wrote it down too, is I wanted to be heard. Um, in addition to the breakup and the disillusion of a friendship, I needed someone just to hear me talk. Like, I'm not a super talkative person. I can talk and offer my opinions in a conversation and go back and forth. I can do that, but just in general, I don't have that person anymore to bounce ideas off of and to just kind of do some mental gymnastics. And then sometimes when you're in relationships, you have a partner that doesn't necessarily want to hear what you have to say, and that's not a good thing. But I just wanted to be heard, and so having a therapist, having a consistent meeting time every single week to talk about what I was feeling, what I was going through, and then kind of offer some solutions and some tips to do actually was very beneficial to me. So those people out there that are contemplating it, I say do it. Do it. Pay whatever costs that you can, because it's like self care. If you don't take care of your mind, no one else will. And I know there it's taboo. One, it shows a sign of weakness, and two, we don't like to air our dirty laundry. And I always laughed at this. I don't really like when people say that. You need to keep your business behind closed doors. It doesn't leave this house. I mean, I understand that to a certain extent. But if everything is in house, if the problems are in house, then how are you supposed to fix them? Especially if you're with a family that doesn't care to listen, if you're within a family that doesn't care to speak to one another in a appropriate manner, like how are you supposed to get those problems solved if the environment isn't conducive to solutions and moving forward? So I totally get, keeping everything in house, but sometimes you gotta take a risk and get that information out there so you can get help. So so therapy is why I'm here. Shout out to my therapist. I'll have to send her this link so that she can see that I've actually taken some of the steps uh, to do what she suggested. But there are some benefits to therapy, and I would definitely um, advise people to go and do it. And it doesn't have to be lifelong. I did my last session, I think we did all of August, September, October, November. So about 3.5 months. And probably by the end of 2 months, I was already feeling better. Um, just getting all my emotions and my feelings and things about the last breakup. But it was definitely beneficial. Like, I think it was money worth the money. Like, I have insurance, so insurance paid for some of it. If my insurance didn't cover it, I was willing to pay out of pocket to do so. But I know that everybody does not have the money to pay for insurance. But if you can go have Starbucks every day, if you can eat out to fast food every day, you can afford to pay for therapy, whether it's just once a month. Most places and doctors and therapists can probably fit you into their schedule. But if you can get something done consistently all the time, I think it'd be better for you. And so also this channel is going to be a little therapeutic too. I'm going to be talking about all different types of things. I love sports, and originally, if I wanted to do a channel, it was going to be something about my perspective on sports, which is also male dominant, of course. But we're gonna talk about everything. Like I said, I'm a mother. I'm a public educator. I am a 40-plus-year-old Black woman. Um, I am single, so I have dating stories. I like to travel. There's all kinds of things that I want to um, talk about and engage with the viewership and get your ideas and concepts and just things just about how we're living in the world and stuff like that. So hopefully you'll come back and take a look at some more of my content. I'm not doing this necessarily for money. I just want to try to do something that I said I was going to do and stick with it. So we'll see how 2025 works out. But in the meantime, come back and check out my channel, Recharging with Renabro, and I'll see you on the next episode.